Ooh, something special for y'all. I know I say that sometimes, but got an interesting one, an oldie, but a goodie. So we have here a 1999 Stagea, Nissan Stagea C34. Old school. You can see that this vehicle is a right-hand drive. This is a right-handed vehicle. It's an import. If you are somebody who is learning to tint windows, you will quickly find out that vehicles like this are not generally on, like templates for this are not usually available. Even with a software like Core, even then we don't have all of it. So this is a vehicle that I'm going to be doing purely by hand. I thought it was going to be a lot harder because I didn't know. I just knew it was a 1999 vehicle that was an imported vehicle, and so I knew I was going to do it by hand. But usually with these old cars from 1990s, they suck to do by hand. But then when this came in, I said, hey, this is actually not that bad. But nobody else in the city wanted to do it or gave the customer a call back. We were the only ones to give them a quote for it. And so here we have it. And so let's just get it done. You know what I mean? Easy peasy. So these vehicles are frameless. First of all, they're frameless. So this is very easy to deal with. They have some curvature to them, but nothing too spectacular, nothing too extreme. Again, this is going to be a really easy window to do. That window is easy. This window, and it's something that you'll often see with these imported vehicles is that the rear, even on the sedans, the rear halves are usually factory tinted, but here in North America, and the vehicles, even though they're from around the world, when they're sold in North America, sedans and vehicles like this, even station wagons, usually don't have factory tint. But anyways, another frameless. Then we have a large rear panel window with a defroster in the center, so we'll have to cut around that. This one is going to be not so difficult, but tricky, right, to get right. Not really, it's gonna be super easy. And then, yeah, same on this side. Rear windshield, as you can see, just a basic window with actually no defrosters in the center, which I was not expecting. This car is just going to be significantly easier for those of you who are Jason fans. Let us get started. Again, I thought this vehicle was gonna be a lot harder, so I booked it for longer than I would any other vehicle, but this car is gonna be so easy. And watch that it surprises me, and then it's a bitch to do. Watch. So let's get started. It's the same old, same old. We're gonna go about the process as we normally do. Because this is frameless, we don't have the same cleaning that we need to do in the like in these corners. I'll show you guys how I do it by hand. Actually, let me talk you through it, because I don't often do, if I have done a video of me doing it by hand. So the way I do this, I have my rolls in 40-inch rolls. Let me grab one. So this car is being done in 20%. I have Quick Dry Plus Global Window Films, 20%. So I buy my rolls in 40 inches, 40-inch rolls. To do these by hand, the reason why I use a plotter is because so the first 2,000 vehicles, even though I had a plotter the whole time, my first 2,000 vehicles I did by hand. The reason why I switched to a plotter, or I started to use my plotter, was because by the end of the day, I was so tired and my body was hurting from mangling these all the time. So what I do, and by the way, this video is brought to you by Tint. If you are looking to start and run your automotive window tinting business like a digital powerhouse, then try www.tintbolt.com to hook and book more tint customers. So let's get into this video. We're gonna be moving the camera farther out so I can give you guys as much of a view as possible. I'm gonna start with this front window. Grab my red dot, stainless steel blade, because we're cutting on the glass. Sharp. All right, so what you wanna do is when you unroll, the way I do it, is I'll have the backing sheet is on the outside. If you're not sure which one is the backing sheet and which side is the non-backing sheet, the best way to tell, there's two really good ways. For beginners, if you grab the film, the side that the film slides on is the backing sheet. So I'm just bending it backwards here. I'm bending it backwards and it's slippery on this side, but if I fold it inwards, it actually sticks to itself. So the side where it sticks to itself, that's not the side that you want. That's not where the backing sheet. The side that's slippy, slidey, that's the backing sheet. So with this roll and most rolls, the backing sheet is on the outside, okay? For this, when I unroll the film, I want the backing sheet to be on the glass. The good side, the actual tint side, I want that to be facing me when I unroll it. I'm going to wet a little bit extra on the outside of the window that I'm tinting, because I want the film to stick when I place it down. Get your blade ready to cut the film in half, or to cut the film off. So what I'll do is I'll unroll first of it. And now what I'm looking to do, I'm going to get the top to come down. So I'm laying it down like this for a specific reason. Now this edge, I want it to go as far over, covering the film edge as possible. And do the same on this side. Now always remember that when you place this film down, you might be placing it crooked. So just be aware of that. You want enough coverage on both ends. Otherwise, when you are doubling this over, this is how we do a double shrink, by the way, or a double cut. When you double it over, you don't want any side being too short. So make sure you have enough outside of where that window is. Have your blade. Oh, it's not sharp. Damn. Oh, I thought that was sharp. Okay. Hence why we wet around so that the film can stick. I'm just gonna place this down. Hope I didn't screw that up because it's been such a long time since I've cut by hand. This doesn't look straight at all. I don't look straight at all, son. But I think we're still good. Okay, now that's on the glass or on the car. I have my soapy water, and I'm going to wet it. Not too crazy, but enough. Remember this, the backing sheet is now on the car, right? Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab the film, and I'm going to fold it. And I'm going to line up the straight edge with the straight edge. Okay? You get it as close as you can. And then what we'll do, we'll just fix it, just get it straightened out. We don't care about the sides anymore as far as we're concerned. We have cut enough of the film. Now we're just gonna get the bottom, and we're gonna cut the bottom in half. Let me get a sharper part of my blade here. Now we're just going to, where the fold is, we're just gonna cut that and slice that open. Oops. Make sure you're still there, depending on how much you wet it. It could be moving. If you feel like you need to, you can try to squeegee out some of the water, okay, so that it doesn't move on you too much. Flip it over so that the straight edge part is now facing the bottom, and line it up with the bottom of the vehicle. So there's a couple ways you can do this. I like to take it to where I think the film will cover, and look at that. So we have a little, let me try to show you guys a little closer here. So we have the trim here, then we have just an extra part of the weather seal here. And I know that if I go just below this, there won't be any light gaps. So with that weather seal, there's a fold here at the trim. I'm just gonna take it right where the trim starts to bend. That's my favorite place to take the film when I'm cutting by hand. So let me just line that up. The two pieces are slightly sliding still. So let me flatten that out. Let me squeeze a bit more water out so that it doesn't move so much. Nope, too much water. That's what happens when you put too much water. So I know that this thing is gonna move like crazy. I have to be cognizant of that. I did use too much water. All right, so I'm gonna take it down to the fold. I'm gonna try to move both pieces at the same time. It's difficult because the film is sticking to the glass. All right, let me just get this water out. Okay, there we go. It's still moving because there's too much soapy water back there, but I'm just gonna go through with it, take my shot. So line it up to where the fold is as much as possible, wherever you feel comfortable. You don't want it to be too much. In this case, this is a frameless, so I'm just gonna be dropping the film, but where you have a frame, the lower you go, the more difficult that two-stage method is going to be. So we're gonna take it to the mold, make sure we're at the edge, we're over the edge, so we know we have enough leeway. The side I like to start cutting on is the shortest side. So just gonna take a look at what it looks like here, so I know where the rubber is and I don't go in and start cutting the whole rubber. I'm going to push into the film so I can get it close to where that edge is. Pop the blade out ever so slightly. Let me show you guys what that looks like. So, right, so that it's there, and just, boop, that's it. That's how far out we want it, okay? Further, so if you go too far out, the likelihood of cutting rubber, cutting plastic becomes pretty high. And that blade is still not sharp. Now you want to go in, when you grab the film, you want to peel away. So as you're tearing, you want to peel away from where you're going, make sure so that you don't cut into your pattern, right? So I'm going to peel away. There we go, all right? I'm going to throw that on the floor because I don't have garbage. Okay, now I'm going to grab the film. Now let me explain this. When you're taking the film, you want to slide the film over. And in your mind, imagine you're sliding the film over so that you can go, let's say, past the rubber so that there's no light gaps when the film is on. So you move it over because it's going to go underneath the seal to the right. Again, this is frameless. We only have a seal to the right. We're going to move it over. We'll move it over slightly so that we can get it under the seal. In a frame world, you would do it again so that you would cover going under the seal on the other side of the window. But because there is no seal, we're doing it's frameless, so we're going to the edge of the glass. We move it over a little bit to get underneath the seal here. Make sure to just be careful that you're not sliding the film too much and then screwing up your entire pattern. Under the seal there, boop, 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 boop. Under the seal. Okay, under the seal. The reason why this is taking me so long is because the film has too much water in it, and so the pattern is shifting. If you were doing this, if you were making this cut with just one piece, you wouldn't be running into these problems. Because I'm doubling it up, it's been a long time. I shouldn't have watered it as much as I did. Anyways, so now it's moved over. Because this is frameless again, now I'm gonna tack it down. You usually would not tack it down at this point if you're doing a different type of pattern. Fuck, man. Like, geez, why is it so... Not even that much soap in there. Yeah, that's better. Usually you would put a lot less soap so it doesn't move around like that, but okay, it's moving less. All right, guys. I'll be right back. I gotta go get ready for this Temple demo, and then we'll continue this car.
A few moments later.
All right, so we have this film move over. Since it's been sitting for a little bit, it has been drying. I've noticed that the film has dropped far below where I want it, so I'm just gonna pull it back up. Oh, it is sticking because it's been drying for a bit. Just so I can get it back to where I want it. I'm over here on the side, so we're good there. I'm just gonna cut this edge here and then cut the top. So let me pull the door back actually. Again, we're doing a frameless, so things are slightly different than they would be with a framed window. The first things first, because as you can see, like there's a lot of film and it just droops down. This is not ideal for cutting the film. So first thing I like to do is just cut enough that we have like an inch or so above where the window actually is. So I'm just gonna cut a little bit off just so I can not have this whole excess film that I'm having to deal with. Right now the film is a bit more stable, something that I can work with. First things first, you can use your stainless steel for the edges. I like to use my carbon blades for this. So the stainless steel is good when you're cutting on the glass. Carbon blade I love to do the edges with. It's just a lot cleaner because it's so much sharper. And then you have that 45 degree angle blade, which is nice. Okay, so I'm gonna start here at the bottom. I think y'all can see that. So I'm gonna start here at the bottom. I'm gonna start by cutting from outside, from away from the edge of the film, and then I'm gonna drag my blade to touch the film and then bring it upwards, okay? So I'm gonna start a little bit on the outside, cut into the glass, or towards the glass, and then cut, oh damn it, this blade is, why are these never sharp when I need them to be sharp? Make sure your blades are sharp, guys. I'm just gonna break this piece off here. Start from away from the glass, cut towards the glass, and then go ahead and do your edge. Now that's a clean edge. Now usually what I'll do at the top is I'm not gonna try and get this corner done. There's just no point in that. Plus I want something to grab onto when I'm installing the film. So I'm gonna stay away from that. Like I don't wanna get rid of this edge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from up here, right? Here's the edge of the glass. I'm gonna start from up here and I'm going to cut in this way so I have a bit of a tab to grab. And then I'm gonna start from the outside, cut towards the glass, and then I'm gonna do my edge. But what you'll see when I'm doing my edge is after this edge, that part is done, I'm going to be dragging my hand in front of the blade. And the reason why is because I just want to make sure that the film is as flat to the glass as possible so that I don't have a screwed up cut. This way my cut is as clean as possible. So just take a look at one. So I'm just gonna start up here. I'm gonna drag it towards the glass. I'm gonna start and then I'm gonna put this door has no hinge support. Right, there we go. I just brought the film back over so that it's not falling over. Okay, good. So it's pretty close here. Let me see if I can show you guys what it looks like on the edge there. So here's the edge of the glass. I'm touching the glass and you can see where the film is. It's just about perfect. It's not really anything overlapping, but again, don't expect to get this perfectly, guys. Don't expect to get it perfectly. You just want it close enough. You don't even really have to do this to the edge of the glass. You can hover right above it and then clean it up when you install it. So it doesn't need to be perfect, but the closer it is, the less fixing you have to do once it's installed, right? And then again, we have this tab here, in the top corner. This tab here, which is just over the glass so that when we're installing it, we have something to hold on to, because that's basically the same thing we got in this other corner. This tab here, actually this tab here I will cut. Let's continue this. I'm gonna pull this away because we're basically done with cutting this on the glass. I'm gonna take it off the glass. I'm going to push this back, go close this door. We're gonna cut on the glass here. So I know that this top corner here, I'm not going to touch it. The only one I'm going to cut is this bottom corner. I'll use something that you don't really care that much about, because this process, your blade will likely cut into the plastic or whatever tool you're using. But I'm gonna use this, find a straight edge, match the straight to the straight on the side here. So match the straight to the straight. What I mean by match the straight to the straight, the edge of the film here is straight, right? So I'm just matching a straight part of my tool here to the straight on the glass. That way I know exactly where I need to be, right? I don't trust that this blade is sharp, but yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna change blades. Got a new blade, straight to the straight. So line it up. And there we go, nice and straight. Just gonna cut off that corner there just to make it easier install. And that's done. Now I'm going to flip it over so we can do the other edge. Again, straight to the straight. Actually, we'll just pause on that. I want to show you guys something. We'll go to the bottom half instead, straight to the straight. Boom, nibble that edge off. And when you have a sharp blade like this and you're cutting the glass, guys, you don't need to put very much pressure on it at all. Keep your blade at as narrow as an angle as possible. You don't want it to be like the glass is here. You don't want it to be like this. You want to bring the blade as flat down as possible. Okay, this will reduce the amount of scratching on the glass you'll be doing with a blade like this. Now, the reason why I'm keeping this piece here is because when you look at the corner here, when you look at this corner, you'll see that where the rubber is, I cut along the rubber here, you see it turns inwards. So if I cut that part straight, we'll have a little bit of a light gap where the rubber turns in. You see? So what we'll want to do on the cut is this piece here, thinking about how that comes out, we'll actually just want to round it in instead, so that it has, oops, this was probably not perfect, but I didn't even think much about that. But we just don't want it to be straight. We want it to come out a little bit like that, so that it kind of at least fits in there. We might probably still have a light gap, but at least it kind of looks like it belongs in that corner. Cool. All right, so guys, that's how you cut the windows. I'm not going to explain it anymore. A slightly less complicated process will be done on these back windows. You'll see how it's done, but let me get this job done, because you can imagine I'm pretty far behind at this point. Let's go. When you're peeling it apart, be careful, because sometimes the film will do weird things and bend when you're peeling it. I like to make sure that it's perfectly straight, because as soon as it bends in, for whatever reason, if it bends for whatever reason, when you're trying to peel it, you'll crease. So I like to make sure that it's perfectly flat as I'm taking these pieces apart. And just remember, the side that slips against itself is the backing sheet. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to redo the same thing on the back window. Because these back windows are also frameless, the only difference is the way you shift the film back and forward. Here, we only shifted the film forward because we only need to get underneath the front seal here, but here, there's nothing to get underneath. So with this guy, what we end up doing is you just put the film as it is, make sure it's lined up, and then just go and cut your edge. You can fix it up on the back when you install it. Some guys like to do this a little differently. They kind of like to put in a micro gap when they're cutting it in. So they'll line it up, micro gap, and I think double it up and then cut it again. But that to me just doesn't seem worth it, because I like to cut directly to the edge. So if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, we're just gonna lay this flat, then go straight to our edges. Cool? And we're gonna do this the same way we did it before. I'm gonna wet kind of around the area. I'm gonna wet it. I'm not gonna wet it as much as I did last time, because that's a terrible experience. Line up the flat edge, and then go cut it in half. Flip it over. Line up your bottom. Take a look. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm gonna take the door out. I'm holding the film because sometimes the film will move when you do that, depending on how much water is around there. And as you can see, we have that overlap. Make sure you have enough overlap on both sides of the film. So let me just move this over slightly. Line it up again. We're overlapped on this side of the film. We're overlapped on this side of the film. The one other thing that I hate about doing this by hand is the amount of wastage, but there's not much we can do there. So I'm just gonna cut out the excess film so that we're playing with we're dealing with something more manageable. And from here, we're just gonna go ahead and go straight to cutting our edge. Again, always make sure that your film is lined up. This film is still moving quite a bit, even though I didn't use this with water. It's probably because it's colder out. So I'm just trying to squeegee out some of the water. And that's not working so well. Not really doing anything at all. So yeah, a little bit. Okay, but I'm not messing with that. I'm just gonna be careful. So just be careful. If you are not comfortable with this, do it one by one. You don't have to double up the sheet and trying to do it at the same time. I'm just used to doing it this way, but this is more advanced. Do it one by one. Just take one sheet, know where your backing sheet is, lay that on the glass, and do this process, right? If it's one big roll and the roll is there, cut the sheet in half. Like the way we did it, we cut the sheet in half, take one sheet out, put it on the other side of the window of the vehicle, on the other glass, and do one window at a time if you're not comfortable doing this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead now and cut the edges. Same thing, I'm gonna start from the away from the glass. I'm gonna look where the glass is. Start away from the glass, cut then towards the glass, and then go and do my edges. This curvature here is not the same as the corner on this window, right? This curve, we're gonna see it to its full completion. We're gonna go all the way around it. But this one here, because of that sharpness of the angle, we will stop and then continue going down, okay? I'm just gonna hope that the film doesn't move so much because it's slippery. I totally screwed that up. Let's do that again. So I totally screwed that up. I cut too deep into there because I'm nervous about the film moving. So let me just pull it up a little bit. Oh, put up. Perfect. I still have enough down there. Yeah, that's actually still real lucky there. Okay, let's try that again. Jeez, I hate how much this film is moving. It's so annoying. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna peel up the bottom of the film and I'm gonna wipe it there so that it actually just sticks where I need it to stick, because that's a bit ridiculous. There we go. Sucker's no longer moving. Okay, now let's get it back lined up where we want it. I'm gonna raise it just a little bit because I did give it enough space on the bottom there. I have enough room to work with on the bottom and on the side. So I just need a tiny bit of coverage and I can still recover it, okay? Now that it's there, let me tack it down. Forgot to do that. It's been a long time since I've been doing these and now I'm doing it while talking. We're gonna go back, do the edge. See guys, it's never just done with. You're never just fully lost. Okay, I'm gonna come in there, start at the edge, come up there. And I have to cut it off because now it's too short, but you will try to continue it through, okay guys? This is not sharp enough. Learning through my mistakes, I hope, and seeing how I correct them. It's not always a waste. It's not always a waste, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it all off. Starting from the outside, working towards the glass, and then cutting down. Peel away. Okay, perfect. So it still looks great. Obviously when the install goes on, I will fix what needs to be fixed, but it still looks absolutely great. So we're gonna do what we did before. We're gonna peel it off the glass now because I'm done with the cut. And I'm gonna go and take care of these edges. This edge, again, I want that so that I have something to grab onto and my fingers don't show with the final result. Use my tool here, go straight to straight, and then just nibble off that edge, and then just cut off that corner, flip it over. I got nothing to do on this corner, I just have this edge here. Just take it to its logical conclusion. Straight to straight, cut that out, boom. It's a perfect line. Just gonna cut this edge. I'm pretty sure this edge is way more than this needs. Way more than this edge needs. Let me just put that here. Actually looks fine. Okay, cool, that's done. Peel it apart, be careful when you do that. And there you have it. The rest of these windows need no explanation. The only process when it comes to cutting windows like this and the rear windshield will basically be the same. The way you would do them is, like I like to put a light back there. So I have one of these lights, these LED lights, you can buy them off Amazon. Just a long light, right? So I'll take a light like this, plug it in with an extension cable, okay? And pop open the trunk. Okay. My brother's very organized. Good for you, dog. Okay. Then I'll put the light in the back just like that. So when the film is covering it, I can still see where my ceramic edge is and where that we have to cut around, the defroster, like the starting point for the defroster, the connection. So we can cut around that because we know that we'll have to, that's like basically an insert almost, or whatever terminology should be used for that. Cool, so there's not much for me to explain while I do it. Basically everything is the same. You can, if you're nervous or scared about cutting on the glass for something like this, because we'll be cutting all the way around and cutting on this stuff, you can use a tape if you want. I generally don't use them. I think I have some here. Or did I give it away? Oh, that's right, I did give it to him. Right, somebody who was learning to tint here in Calgary, and I gave him a bunch of my scrap film, and then I gave him that piece too. But again, just follow the line, cut ever so slightly out, like 1/4 of an inch outside of the line, outside of where the ceramic is, outside of that, and then you should be good. Always double check, I already did it, but go inside, see how much room you have to play with back there. And then the rear on the windshield as well, if you need to. Okay, always do that so that you don't cut too much, like be too overlapped, and then have to deal with something on the inside that's blocking your way, which happens all the time, especially with sedans, and especially with Golf hatchbacks. Anyway, so I don't need to do too much explanation. I'm just gonna show you guys how that works.